Okay, 40 minutes for 10K. 10K in 40 minutes. How are you gonna train for that? Now, here's a really, really simple, you can have this for free, a really simple way to train, dedicated 3 months in order to train for a sub 40-minute 10K. Now, you're gonna ask the question, where should I be right now in order to train for a 10K and in order to train for that speed, 40 minutes 10K, 4 minutes per kilometer, and I'm gonna work in kilometers, in minutes per kilometer for the rest of the video, otherwise the maths takes control of my brain, and for the last 15 years I've been working in kilometers anyway, even if I'm from the UK. So first of all, the first point in terms of where you should be right now completely depends on your background. So if you've been training for the last 10, 15 years and you feel like you're towards your peak, that's a completely different situation to if you've been running for the last 1 to 5 years and you've not yet implemented any structure into your training, meaning any speed work, any endurance, and how to structure the week. So very simply, and it doesn't need to be complicated. I will keep repeating this on this channel. It does not need to be complicated. Running is very simple. It's about implementing speed and endurance, and those two nicely tie into each other to make you a fitter, better athlete. It's as simple as that, better distance runner. And I just do my Wednesday interval sessions, my weekend Sunday long run, because that's when I've got the most time and when most people have got the most time available, that they can go out there and run for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or even more than that if you're training for the bigger distances. But here's how I'd simply start. So go out there and see what pace you can run for a minute. See, in control, not all out sprinting for a minute, see what you can in control run for 1 minute. And then what I would do is start with something like 20 times 1 minute. And I'd have 60 seconds rest in between. And what I mean by the rest is you're literally stood on the spot. You might be taking some of your drink. You're trying to get everything in under control. You're trying to get your breathing under control. You're trying to bring your heart rate down from what it was during the interval to what it is then to start the next interval, so that you can add quality over those 20 times 1 minute. And you want to, if you're training for 3 months dedicated, that's going to be 10 to 11 weeks and then a short taper before your 10K race. Put that race in the diary so you're kind of accountable, and it gets you up in the morning. You know that if I don't do the training, if I don't do the work, I'm going to get found out on race day. And that helps you, that extra bit of discipline that you need in order to do the training sessions, even if that's an easy or recovery run, on the days when you wake up and you just don't feel like it. To do that, put it in the diary, and then to get towards the training plan, the 3 months, specific training plan, you don't want those first couple of weeks to be a shock to the body. You don't want the speed work, if that's 20 times 1 minute, you don't want that to be a shock to the system. And you don't want the long run to be a shock to the system either. And the way that we're going to combat that is just give yourself a month to 6 weeks of a kind of skeleton program to get yourself fit and ready for those intervals and that long run. So if your current long run is 12K, great, that's where you're starting your long run. And it's nice and easy, and you're just kind of building your endurance, you're building your stamina, and then you're going to add 10% on that every week during the 3 months dedicated training program towards the 10K. With the intervals, before you start the dedicated 3 months, you just want to get your body used to speed. So if you've never ran speed before and you do all your runs, for instance, at 5 minutes per kilometer, and now you want to try and break 4 minutes per kilometer, 40 minutes for 10K, that's going to be a big jump. It's going to be a 20% jump on what you're currently running. So to get used to that, you want some 30-second accelerations. You want to get your body used to running at 4 minutes per kilometer, because you don't want that first and second week in the 3 months dedicated plan to be a shock to the system, because what then will happen is you'll get on the back foot, meaning you're going to get sore and it's going to take you longer to recover. So if you do that midweek interval session on the Wednesday, all of a sudden you're not fully recovered to do the long run, and then you'll do the long run and you'll get through it, but sooner or later the wheels are going to fall off, and that means injury or illness, and that's going to set you back, and it'll probably take you away from your goal race. So just prepare the body so that the 3 month dedicated plan, you know that Wednesday is going to be an interval session. That's going to be some faster running. That's going to be the hardest session of the week. And Sunday is going to be a long run. Not super speedy, but controlled, so that you're running that at a pace that is relevant to the pace that you're going to run. So what I would do is, if I'm running 12K And that's my first long run because that's the furthest I've ever ran. Then I would do 12K, and then within that 12K, I'd maybe run 4K, what I would usually run, say, let's say 5 minutes per kilometer. I'd run the middle 4 kilometers, at say 4:30 per kilometer. So you get some relevant work there. It's more or less sort of the pace that you're trying to aim in a 10K race plus 10%, which would be 4 minutes and 24 seconds per kilometer if you're going to nail it dead on, 10%. 10% slower than the race pace. And then at the end, those final 4 kilometers at 5 minutes per kilometer. And what that's doing is giving you a nice little extra session, a little bit extra speed, a relevant speed within your long run as well. So it's kind of like an extra session on the side that you're doing. And those are nice. And so initially, week 1, 20 times 1 minute, 60 seconds rest in between. Gather yourself, control your feelings, control your heart rate, control your breathing, bring the heart rate down from what it was in the interval to what you want it to be before you start the next. And the more that you can make that drop, and it might not drop so much in the first couple of weeks, but once you get onto that 3rd and 4th week and it starts to become normal for you to be doing intervals, that's a great measure of fitness, how much your heart rate can drop. So if I'm in zone 4 and I'm like 170, 175 beats, if I can bring that down to 125, 130 beats, I know that I'm getting fit. Because that's a big jump, it's a big drop, and it means that my body can recover really, really quickly. That's what you want to be aiming for. So that 20 times 1 minute, keep that all relevant. Keep it relevant to the target in 3 months' time. So run 4-minute pace. So that 1 minute interval, you're taking 250 meters. And if that's on a treadmill, which it might be right now if you're in a cold place in the world or in a super hot place in the world, it might be on a treadmill. And that's easy to put on 15 kilometers per hour and just run on a treadmill for 250 meters for the minute, and hop off the treadmill, get the breath back, and then go again a minute later. And then your watch, if you've got any sort of Garmin watch or an equivalent, that's going to give you the data. What's your heart rate doing? Even if it's on your watch, it's there or thereabouts. It's not bad. It might be 10 beats quicker or something like that, but as long as it's consistent over the weeks, it's going to give you data that is useful to you. And then what I would do is gradually increase those minute intervals. So then 90-second intervals, 2-minute intervals, always keep 60 seconds in between. Get the body used to having 60 seconds to control yourself, to gather and control your breathing and bring your heart rate down, 60 seconds. And what the body will do is become really good at recovering within 60 seconds. To get up to 2-minute intervals, I'd run 20 times 2 minutes eventually. Maybe you start with 10 times 2 minutes, and then 15 times 2 minutes, and 20 times 2 minutes. And that's a big session, but you're breaking up the 10K and the 40 minutes that you're going to be running in 3 months' time. You're breaking that up into nice chunks that you can easily chew on and get used to. And then increase to 3 minutes and 4 minutes interval. And those are going to be your key sessions. The key sessions within the program is going to be 10 times 4 minutes and 4 times 10 minutes. Those are going to be really, really good sessions where if you can get to 4 times 10 minutes and you can be running at 4 minutes per kilometer, so you're running 2.5 kilometers in 10 minutes, you know you're pretty confident and you're thinking, wow, I'm able to do this on my own, either on the treadmill or outside. I'm able to do this on my own, and I can gather those, and after each 10-minute interval, 60 seconds to recover, bring my heart rate down. I'm pretty confident if you get to sort of week 8, week 10, and you're able to do those sessions, you should be pretty confident that you can nail 40 minutes for 10K. When you've got the added adrenaline and enthusiasm and excitement of a race, and everybody's around you, you're running in groups, there's a lot of people trying to break sub 40 for 10K, and those groups are nice to be in because you can control yourself for the first 5K, ideally 7 or 8K, and then let rip in the final 2K and try to dip under 40 minutes. That's what you should be aiming for. And what I do from there is if you can get to sort of week 8 to 10, and you can do 4 times 10 minutes in the pace that you want to run, 4 minutes per kilometer, then what you can do is you can add some extra distance and make sure you're confident. So maybe 12 and 15 minutes, and ideally 2 times 20 minutes, 2 times 5K at the 10K pace you want to run. So 2 times 20 minutes, both of those 5K with 60 seconds rest in between. You should be you should have infinite confidence that you can nail it on race day then. And if you can get to that in, let's say, week 10, 11, you're in a really, really good place in order to do the business on race day. And that's the philosophy. Now, what I would do in terms of those intervals, as I said, the weekend long run, you keep on adding that distance. It goes from 12K to 14K, and then maybe 16K, and then you can top that out at something like 20K. So you don't need to be running more than an hour and 15, more than an hour and a half. But within that, have a dedicated portion of 4, 5, 6, 7K that is relevant to the pace that you want to run. And I always like 10% slower than my race pace. And especially for a 10K, which is a fast race, you've got, it's a tough race to get right. But if you do the work, you're ready. You can be ready on race day. But if you do that, like I said, 4 minutes and 24 seconds, so 10% slower than race pace within a longer run, and you can get that to 16K, and let's say the middle 6K of that is ran at 4 minutes 24 per kilometer, you're laughing come race day. Because if you're doing that at the weekend and you're doing the intervals, you're in a really, really good place. And what I would say as well, just a last thing, is if you get to that point, okay, you're doing 4 times 10 minutes, and then you're doing 15-minute rep, and then you're doing 2 times 20 minutes. What you want to see then is you want to be jumping back and do the shorter intervals still. You still want to be doing that later on into the program. So if you can do some 2-minute intervals, and you're doing that 22 times 2 minutes, you're going to build extra pace, and it's going to feel easier for you. And if you can add on to that for extra safety, once you can do 2 times 20 minutes in 4 minute per kilometer pace, once you do the 2-minute intervals and even the 4-minute and 5-minute intervals, that's going to feel really easy for you. So a little cheat code here, you want to be doing those faster. So you want to be doing those 10% faster. So ideally running at 3:36 or 3:45, round about that pace for the 2-minute intervals, 3:45 per kilometer pace for the 2-minute intervals, 3-minute intervals, 4-minute intervals. That might be difficult at first, but when you mastered that 2 times 20 minutes, and therefore you're ready for race day, it's going to give you so much confidence if that first 5 to 8K feels super comfortable during your race. Good luck. I think what you're doing is fantastic. And if you're getting anything from this channel, great. If you've got any comments, please drop me a comment below, and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.